In this installment, we have an AFC West matchup for Monday Night Football. We got the Denver Broncos in prime time, yet again, going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's get into it. Hey, yo! Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your Monday Night Football matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. But before I deep dive into that, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on TikTok at Chef_D91, and don't forget about the Patreon if you want more DFS betting and fantasy football advice. All of those links will be provided down below. Now, we are going to get into this great slate we got going on here, but the first thing we have to do is check the injury report. That is always the first thing we have to do, just in case we find a gem in here. So we're going over to Los Angeles Chargers right now. Keenan Allen has made it clear that he is going to be out for this game. Even though he got limited practices Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, he is going to be doubtful. Justin Herbert is going to be fine. Hopkins is going to be fine and back. They need him. Zion Johnson is going to be back. Josh Palmer is fine, and then Trey Pipkins, he is questionable. Wait on news for him. Everything else is pretty much a full go for the Chargers side. On the Denver Broncos side, Mike Boone is good. We're waiting on Q tags on Melvin Gordon III, running back, so that could affect Mike Boone, but Melvin Gordon did get in limited practice. Jonathan Cooper looks to be fine on a Q tag right now. Josie Jewell will be out, the inside linebacker. That's a little bit of a hit. And any other big outs, everyone else got limited practice and they should be fine to go. And then we have safety Caden Stearns. He is not going to play for this game on Monday, all right? So now let's move over to the slate and let's go through the captains. All right, now the captains, who are we going to focus on in this in-division matchup? So this could be a tight game here, even though we do have a Chargers team that have struggled very mightily on that defensive side. Denver needs a wake-up call. They've been struggling to even move the ball, but this might be a great matchup for them to get things clicking. So at this captain position, we're going to start off with Austin Eckler. All right, going to start at the top of the list. Austin Eckler is in a very good spot here. He has been super dominant and been seeing a boost in receptions with the out of Keenan Allen. So with Keenan Allen out, you get a boost in Austin Eckler, you get a boost in Mike Williams, and then you get a nice trickle-down effect to the tight ends as well, not to mention DeAndre Carter and Josh Palmer. So Austin Eckler comes in off two great performances, back-to-back 30-plus fantasy point games, 34.9 against Houston and 38.9 against Cleveland. And this is why he's at this very high salary of $17,100 at that captain spot. Much worth it. If you're just looking at the stats here, it's going to be really heavily on the side of Denver because they've been playing a lot of home games and they are very good defense. But look at the numbers. If we're looking at the numbers, this is a team that is allowing 97 yards to opposing running backs, all right, and 5.1 yards a carry. That is not a good scenario going up against the Chargers, especially a very dynamic running back in Austin Eckler that we got right here. So he's in a great spot, definitely viable at that captain position. Next guy we're going to look at will be Justin Herbert. It doesn't matter what game environment this man is in. He has a big X factor. This man has great arm talent. He can obviously pass the ball, has great weapons even without Keenan Allen, and this man is a top tier talent in the NFL. He's coming into this game on a downturn against Cleveland, but the key in that game was the rushing, and he has the same type of rushing ability here that he can lean on in this game. I also think that Mike Williams is going to have a great game as well. I think he's going to get the tight ends involved, and we can finally see maybe another breakout game similar to what we saw against KC already this year. We had 27 fantasy points, or against the Las Vegas Raiders, two division opponents here where he had 23 fantasy points. So I expect Justin Herbert to play at his tip-top shape in this in-division matchup. I like him as a captain. All right, next guy we're going to look at will be the number 1 target, and that is Mike Williams. Okay, with Keenan Allen out, Mike Williams is the complete alpha. All right, against Houston, 7 for 120, no touchdown. And then against Cleveland, 10 for 134, 13 targets, no touchdown in that as well. But it doesn't matter because he is the number 1 target. No Keenan Allen means a big boost to Mike Williams. Plus, this man just got paid. They're going to utilize his very, very huge talent and capability. So I'm loving him as a captain. Definitely a sneakier play. Now, when I speak about Justin Herbert, he really has to go off in this scenario for him to be definitely viable in that captain position. I love him more in a flex position. He's a complete and utter smash. Don't fade him in none of your lineups. You need to have Justin Herbert in each and every one of your lineups just to understand that. But for him to be in the captain spot, he needs to have 3 or 4 touchdowns and provide some rushing upside as well. So these other guys like Eckler or Mike Williams might be in a better position to do so. So we're going to move on to the next guy we like at the captain spot, and that is Russell Wilson. All right, I understand he struggled. It's been really, really bad. It's been absolutely putrid to watch Russell Wilson in this offense. But this is a scenario here. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, this is the perfect spot. All right, the Chargers were in that 30th ranked range. They simmered down just a little bit. They're 20th now and 26th in red zone, as you can see. They're allowing 2 touchdowns a game to quarterbacks, and they're allowing over 253 yards passing to quarterbacks. So if this was a spot or a remedy for Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson to get cooking, this should be the game. All right, so Russell Wilson, he has the capabilities. You can go double quarterback in your lineups. You can have the possibility to have him as your captain. He's been very, very good on the rushing department. We've seen that come back to life, because after the last couple of years with Seattle, he did take a little bit of a downturn in the rushing department, and now we're seeing him with back-to-back over 20-plus only 20-plus yards in rushing, and he had a touchdown in week 4. So these are positive signs to see. At least he's getting out of the pocket, creating and using his legs. That's going to be a plus. He needs to turn around the passing and seeing his open wide receivers, because they definitely could have won that game against the Indianapolis Colts. So Russell Wilson is someone we have to mention. If we want to pair him with one of his top wide receivers, that would be Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton here off a great game, 11 targets, 5 for 74. We wish they converted on more, but that was more Russell Wilson's fault and not Courtland Sutton's. He's been doing this job. He's been providing double-digit fantasy points each and every outing. So I'm loving him in this matchup. I don't know what happened to J.C. Jackson in this secondary here. This Chargers defense is having a lot of problems. So I'm not afraid of Chargers defense, even though they are home and things could turn around at a moment's notice. But we got to go with what they showed us so far, and this has been a cupcake matchup for opposing offenses. All right, now the biggest factor we want to look at would be the running back position. All right, so we got 2 guys here. We got Melvin Gordon here at 8,200, currently questionable. Is going to get the majority of the carries, but is he the more explosive back? This is the same scenario with Javonte Williams that we had. Unfortunately, he's out for the year, but Melvin Gordon is going to get the majority, but will he be the most effective back? All right, we saw 13 fantasy points out of him last week. We saw double-digit carries. We saw a couple receptions. That was a positive sight. He definitely should have converted on some other situations, but he did not come through. So Melvin Gordon is someone we can look at. And then the more explosive back out of the 2 will be Mike Boone. Mike Boone could be a sleeper. We're hoping for more touches in this game. We saw an increase in week 5 where we saw 7 attempts, 38 yards, the more explosive back. We saw him in the passing game being more explosive, 3 for 47 there. I think he can win over eventually, but he's still going to be splitting carries with Melvin Gordon and with Latavius Murray. So definitely watch out for those other backs. But I think my favorite out of the trio or out of the duo would be Mike Boone. So I'm going to definitely mention him as someone to definitely think about in your captain spot as well. Because if we're looking at fantasy points allowed to running backs, we're going to go here. We're going to flip it around. They are last in the league, 32nd against opposing running backs. 27th in the red zone, 123 yards rushing, 6.2 yards a carry, and a touchdown that's what they're allowing. That is highly questionable. And those are going to be my top plays for the captain spot. Let's move on to the flex. Next will be the flex, guys, and we're going to clear these captains out. And we're going to go to the gems, the other gems that are going to be a little bit cheaper that you can pay up for. First guy we're going to talk about will be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has had a very up and down season. As you can see at this game log, we have 23 in week 1, then 2 fantasy points, then 3, then 15 against the Raiders, then 8. So obviously that's understandable with the way Russell Wilson is struggling, but this is the perfect environment for things to get clicking. All right, we're hoping that Russell Wilson can get the ball to Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and Albert O and all the weapons that they have on this Denver Broncos team. So it doesn't make sense that they're struggling this mightily, but Jerry Jeudy is someone we can consider. A lot of people might shy away from him because of the volatility that we've seen in the game log, but the upside is there. All right, Josh Kelly is the number 2 running back. So Austin Eckler is already coming out and encouraged that he wants someone behind him to take some carries. All right, Austin Eckler is thinking about the long game. He's thinking about having an extended career, getting to that next contract. He can't take all the work. So as much as we love Austin Eckler and he's super efficient, he still wants other touches to go to Joshua Kelly. So Joshua Kelly saw a boost last week. We saw 10 rushes, 49 yards, and a touchdown. He also did receive a couple catches. So if you have him as one of your punt plays, he's getting touches each and every week. The question is, will he get in the end zone? They've been giving him red zone carries as well, so that's another positive. So he has some upside here at this current salary. All right, next guy we're going to look at, we're going to stay away from Sony Michel. We're going to go down to Joshua Palmer. Joshua Palmer is the number 2 wide receiver in this offense between him and DeAndre Carter. Carter has been more consistent out of the two. Palmer has had some upside in week 2 and week 3, but as of late, he's kind of looked like the missing guy. So he needs to step up. He had 6 targets last week against Cleveland. Cleveland has some pretty solid corners. So does Denver on the other side as well, but more of the attention will be on Mike Williams. So hopefully Joshua Palmer can get things back on track, because we saw the upside last year and we saw some upside in week 2 and week 3. So at this salary, $5,800, I like Joshua Palmer. All right, the next guy is Gerald Everett. All right, he finally had a bad game, which is a big shocker because he's been pretty consistent. 14 fantasy points in week 1, 13 in week 2, 17 in week 4. Then we saw a bad game in week 3, and then we saw a bad game in week 5, which was a shocker. Only 3 targets and only 2 yards on 1 reception. It kind of did coincide with the fact that Donald Parham, the number 3 tight end, or technically the number 2 tight end, is back and he's getting snaps now. So there might be a little 3-way split with the tight end situation, but the number 1 tight end on this offense is Gerald Everett, and he is someone we can consider. He has been getting double-digit fantasy points in a majority of the weeks of this season. All right, I already mentioned Mike Boone. He's going to be a love. He should be and could be a very sneaky captain. For the defenses on this side, both of them are going to be very ugly. Chargers are going to be more ugly than the Broncos defense. Chargers defense has been getting decimated. Maybe we can go with them, and then this defense is gonna be super low owned. But this is a way to be contrarian. If you go with the Chargers defense, lean on more of their running game, maybe they do step up. Maybe Russell Wilson continues to struggle, and this is the way that the Chargers defense gets fantasy points and becomes an asset for you in your lineup. So you know what? I do like Chargers defense, and I don't like the Broncos defense. I think that the Chargers offense is too explosive for them to handle. And in this type of game environment where I see that they're giving over 5 yards to carry, that's a big question mark, all right? So if things get going with Austin Eckler, that's only going to open things up for the passing game. So if I had to choose a defense in our lineup builds, we are choosing the Chargers defense. They're going to be low owned, not a lot of belief in them, but there is some upside, especially with the way the Denver Broncos have been playing, okay? And for the kickers on both sides, Hopkins is in a good spot, as well as Brandon McManus. So I like both kickers on either side. If we're looking at other guys down low here as one-offs to save some salary, KJ Hamler is that guy that can take the top off of defense. He's a very, very explosive wide receiver. We saw it in week 4. He had 55 yards on 1 catch. Not getting a lot of action, but if he's able to get that one deep pass and take it to the house, that can definitely set you apart. This is the type of spot we're looking at as your bottom flex player, right? Just to throw it in there because that's all you have left in your salary, but you want upside. KJ Hamler is one of those guys you can look at. On the other side will be DeAndre Carter. He's been playing more of the slot role. We see some consistency, and between the week 1 and week 5, we're getting a couple targets here and there. Hasn't gotten in the end zone since week 1, so we do see some upside that he has been looked at in the red zone area. So I do like DeAndre Carter at his current price. All right. Let's see if we can find anyone else down here, down low. Latavius Murray, he's now fully acclimated to the offense. Kind of, took the first week with the team off. Now he might be implemented with a couple carries here and there. Definitely got to watch how he is used for the Denver Broncos. Okay, I told you it is a trio. It's not a duo now. And Albert O, he's let us down week after week. I don't know if I can go back to the well with him, so I'm probably going to stay away from him. And other than that, these guys down low are going to be stayaways. The lowest I would go would be DeAndre Carter at 2,600. You could take a dart at an Albert O, or you could take a dart at Latavius Murray, and that's pretty much it. So let's go with the guys we want to have in each and every one of our lineups for this particular build in this particular game between Denver and the Chargers. I'm going to choose Mike Boone over Melvin Gordon. This is your preference. So I like Mike Boone being more explosive. I'm also going to choose Mike Williams because he is the number 1 wide receiver on this team. I love him in this situation. And I also like Justin Herbert. All right. These are going to be the 3 guys I'm going to focus majority of my lineups on. Mike Boone. You could choose Melvin Gordon if you want. We got Mike Williams as the number 1 wide receiver. And we also have Justin Herbert. All right. So those are going to be guys we're going to look at. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessNetJSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right. Peace out, guys.